last session, then year 4 of your balanced argument, your discussion text for this week. So we're on the final lesson. We're going to be bringing everything together. We're going to be writing a conclusion today. We have this week written a balanced argument, a discussion text, where you've looked at 2 different points of view on the issue, is it right to kill animals? You've written an introduction and you've provided arguments for with supporting evidence and against with supporting evidence. You have been fair and not biased to one side or the other. And now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to bring everything together to write our final paragraph, which is the conclusion. Now here's our reader, and we've taken our reader through the journey. This is the shape for a balanced argument for a discussion text, and we walked them through the introduction, we pushed them through the introduction, we pushed them through the argument for, and we pushed them through the argument against, and now we find our reader here at the conclusion point where we're going to have to draw all of our points together. And this is where we get to give our own opinion, where we get to tell our reader what we think. We can't introduce any new points here. We've had our chance to do that. So there's no opportunity to raise a new point with evidence. We should have already done that. And remember, you chose 2 points, so I'm hoping that you've written about 2. If you wanted to choose more and you've written about more, that's equally fine. But we're going to draw it all together and we're going to bring a conclusion. And then after we've done that, we're going to do some self-assessing. We're going to go back and we're going to look at what a successful discussion text, a successful balanced argument should have in it. And we're going to self-assess and we're going to see what kind of a job we did. Did we do a good job? Is it a really good example of a discussion text, a balanced argument? Or did I miss a few things out? And, you know, these are things that I'm going to have to work on the next time that I write one. And that's okay. We're all learning. So this final paragraph then, like I said, is a little bit different. I'm just going to move myself over here so I'm out of your way. It concludes the argument, it's got our own opinion, which means it's going to be written in the first person. So we're going to use I, me and my. Okay, there's an example here where it's about the homework, and you can see that the orange text, I don't believe homework should be banned because, and it's given a reason why, that's going to be your opinion. And then the next sentence it says, however, I also believe there should be time in the day for fun. So here you can see an example of being the first person writing. So this writer has concluded, therefore, perhaps schools should come up with a compromise. Keep homework, but don't set so much. So now you're going to write your conclusion. Before you do that though, you can go back to the YouTube channel and there's a video there of me writing my conclusion, and you can have a look into my writer brain again and how I go about thinking, how I put my conclusion together, how I draw my points together, and how I put forward my own opinion. So if you want to go and have a look at that, it's there for you on the YouTube channel. I'm looking forward to you coming back to me once you've done that. So you're going to pause now, you can close now and then come back, where we're going to have a look at the assessment aspect of our writing as well, because we always have to think about going back and checking and assessing. Before we assess though, another thing that I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go back and I'd like you to be your own editor. So you're going to put your editing specs on, your editing brain, and you're going to be thinking about things like capital letters and full stops. Have I got my punctuation in the right place? Have I shown my paragraphs clearly? Are there any words that I'm not sure that I've spelt right? Can I go back and check those? Can I use my debate language word bank, my word bank with all the debate language on to check that I spelt these words right? Some of the words are tricky. Read it out loud to yourself is a really good way to see if it makes sense, to see if it is coherent and it flows together nicely. So you need to do all of those things before we can do the self-assessment. So you've got a little bit of work to do. So come back to me when you've done that and we'll look at the self-assessment sheet and I will tell you what I need you to do for that bit. Right, so it's all written. The discussion text is done. The balanced argument has been concluded. So now you've written it and you've read through it carefully and you've checked for your punctuation and your spelling and your grammar, and does it all flow nicely? Does it read nicely? Have I used that technical language in there? We're going to have a little checklist. So we need that introduction, we need that paragraph for for and against with supporting evidence and a conclusion. Hopefully we've got in there some conjunctions and a mixture of causal ones and adverbials. It's in the third person written, except for that final paragraph where you give your own opinion, and it's written in a formal voice, so none of those contractions in there, with some nice technical expert style language and debate language. Yes, if you've done all that, you've done a fantastic job. So let's see. I've got a little check sheet for you. This will be in the Google Drive for you to access. But again, equally, you don't need to print anything off. You could use this to write your own little self-assessment, and you could just put a smiley face or a straight face or a sad face, depending on how well you think you've done. So my introduction, has it got a clear statement about the issue? If you've done that and you can see it nice and clearly, that's a yes. If you think it's there but actually you spent a lot of time and waffled a little bit and it's not really clear what the argument is, what we're going to be discussing, then that's a straight face. And if you haven't put it in there at all, then unfortunately we're going to give ourselves a little sad face, but that's something we can work on, isn't it? And then you need to go through each of the points, each of the assessment points, and grade yourself whether, I think I've done a great job here, I'm really good, I've used my argument, I've supported it, I've backed it up with evidence, it's good evidence, I spent a lot of time researching it, or I put my argument in there, I said the reasons why, but I forgot to put in my evidence to support it, or, well, no, I didn't really put any points in at all. So, that's something that I'm going to really have to work on. So going through each of those points as well is going to help you see how successful you've been at writing this balanced discussion this week. Now, as always, we love to see what you've been doing, so make sure that you send your work to us on the Year 4 email. Mrs. Parker, Miss O'Donnell and I will be waiting with bated breath to see these fantastic balanced discussions, these arguments that you have written. You can handwrite them. That would be lovely. It's a really good opportunity to practice that handwriting, getting you ready to move into Year 5. Is this a time where I can practice my join in? Or if you want to, and I know some of you have been working at home trying to learn how to touch type, which is a fantastic skill if you can do that, then you can type up your argument and you can send it to us like that. But whichever way you choose to do it, we'd love to see it. Next week, we're going to be carrying on with our book unit on the sheep pig, and we're going to be reading a little bit more about what's going on in the life of Babe and Farmer Hoggett and Fly and Mrs. Hoggett. We're going to be thinking next week about writing diary entries from points of view of different characters, and we're going to be thinking about emotive language and how we can get emotion into our writing. So, have a fantastic time. Make sure you get some rest time this weekend. Not sure what the weather's going to do, but if you can get outside, make sure you do, but do it safely. And I will see you back here next week for week 3 of the sheep pig. Bye!